Hello, this is Karen Harrison. Welcome to March 2025 Reiki Call podcast. And my guest today is Peggee Reeser talking about Reiki and angels. And before we begin, I'm just going to lead a little short grounding meditation. So let's just place our hands in Gasho and we'll start with the Reiki ideals. Just for today, we let go of anger. We let go of worry. We do our work honestly. We're grateful. And we're kind to others, beginning with ourselves. And we also invite in all the angels from the angelic realm, the archangels, Gabriel, Uriel, Michael, Raphael, all the angels that work with Peggee and me and each of the people here and the people that will listen, our guardian angels. We are grateful to the angelic realm and all the benefits it provides. Take a deep breath in and intend to receive angel energy now, flowing through you. Imagine it as beautiful energy pouring over the top of your head, down over your shoulders, over your heart and upper back, over your stomach and pelvic bowl, on down your legs, and out your feet into the ground. And we affirm that as we were talking, that everyone is receiving a beautiful connection with the angels. And so it is. Blessed be. Okay. All right. Well, welcome to Peggee Reeser. She is a down-to-earth healer, Reiki master, and angel communicator who blends intuition, Reiki, and divine guidance to support healing for humans and animals. And angels first led her to Reiki, providing her with the energetic foundation to deepen her belief in angelic communication. So she has expertise in multiple Reiki disciplines, including animal Reiki. And she believes that animals are angels on earth. I think we all believe that. And she works to bring healing to all beings. Since 2013, Peggee has hosted the Oh My Angels radio show, where she offers live angelic insights, guidance, and healing to listeners. And through her work, she helps others connect with the divine, receive messages, and find comfort in angelic presence. And her website is ohmyangels.com. Welcome, Peggee.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. So, what inspired you to explore the connection between Reiki and angelic communication?
Well, it kind of happened when I was little. I connected with the angels on the other side, and I thought everybody did. I found out at school one day when a grandmother told me that this little girl who was being mean to me, um, the grandmother had passed. Well, I knew that, and I went over. The grandmother said, "Go tell her that I'm not proud of her at all. She's acting ugly." So I go over and tell this little girl, your grandma says to stop it. You're being mean. And she goes, "My grandmother's dead." I said, "Yeah, I know that, but she's still watching what you're doing and she doesn't like it." Well, the little girl, it freaked her out. So she cried. I got reported at the office. I got sent home. I got, back in the day, got my spanking and I got grounded. So it took me a while. It took me until my 20s before I started, you know, verbalizing any kind of angelic connection. I just kept it to myself. And
Yeah,
my best
that's a
friend,
pretty big response.
yeah, I mean, it was, but back in the day, that was, you don't talk to those on the other side. That's not possible. And that's the devil's work and that's whatever. So a friend of mine was into the psychic stuff and stuff. And she goes, I've heard this thing that's called Reiki and it's supposed to be really good. And I want to do it. Will you do it with me? I said, sure. So I took the Usui 1 and 2 class. But back in the day, again, when I was in my 20s, to get a master's class, it was over 10 grand. So I was like, okay, well, that was the end of that. But Reiki, when I took it, it was like coming home. And, my guides were telling me, this is where you're supposed to be. This is where you're supposed to be. This is good. So it combined what I had been living with something that it was like remembering where I had been maybe in another lifetime as a healer. But it just felt right. So I thought, okay, this is going to be it. This is my purpose, is the Reiki. Well, the angels had other plans for me. So we fast forward till I'm in my 40s, and my best friend's daughter was coming to you for a Usui 1 and 2 class. And I said, oh my God, I've missed that. As going through the process and everything. So I asked if I could join, if I brought my certificate, could I come in as a review? And you allowed me to. And it just ignited the fire all over again. And the angels had been telling me that I needed to do more healing work. Well, I'm human and there's times I don't always pay attention to the messages they give me, right? But they go, oh yeah, I'll get to it. So I came to your class and I thought, oh my God, it ignited me again. I had the Reiki magazine from you from attending the class. I go home and I open it up, and there was William Rand teaching the master class at Stonehenge. Well, I'd always wanted to go Stonehenge. So again, I took it as a sign, and everything fell into place. And I went over there and got my masters. And then the following year, I went back over and got my Karuna there at Stonehenge. So, the
That's great.
Karuna is for me, the energy that connected the angels, because I don't know how to say it. It's a softer energy on one hand. I mean, as far as energetically, but it's like your mom telling you what to do. You know what I'm saying? The messages,
I
there's
mean,
no message,
in a
but
nice way. Maybe not my mom.
right, right. Like your best friend's mom would say, honey, maybe you should do this. And as soon as I got back from that class, then I was led to take an angel master class. They had nothing to do with Reiki, but it's like one thing led to the other. And um, the angels were real happy that I had taken the Reiki. It gave me the foundation I needed. And I think it gave me the knowingness that what I was hearing, seeing, feeling, or smelling was all connected. It was not myself, it was the higher realm. And it's just, they continually lead me day by day.
So the Reiki really helped to open up your connection with the
Absolutely.
angels.
But then also, when you're dealing with the angelic realm, it's a lighter, airier kind of energy, right? And I have a tendency to spend more time out of body versus in body. So I needed the Reiki grounding to be able to connect the two.
Mm-hmm. Right. And you felt that the Karuna Reiki, particularly with some of its symbols, helped you open up further to the angelic realm.
Yeah, I mean, I was already pretty open to it, but I think what the Karuna does is it takes what you've learned with the Usui, it puts the icing on the cake, it connects the different realms, but it does it in such a way that you feel safe. That you don't feel like that you're going crazy or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It helps solidify the connection you already have, because we all have connection with the angels. It's
Mhm.
just whether or not you tap into it.
Okay. And Karuna Reiki is a class that the International Center for Reiki Training offers. It's called Karuna Reiki Master, and you can take it if you have Reiki Master for about 6 months or
Yeah,
more.
it's awesome. Highly recommend it.
Yeah. So, how do you think Reiki opened the channels for divine guidance?
It helped me, again, for me, because of who I am, it helped me be more grounded and it helped me trust in what I was feeling. Um, when you're sending or giving Reiki, for me, sometimes my mind would scatter, it would go someplace else. And by doing Reiki and connecting with the angelic realm at the same time, I was able to help direct, if you will, the Reiki when I'm doing the healing. Or if I was given a healing and something felt a little off, then I would get messages of what was off, why I was feeling this way. Um, and everybody sees things differently, but for me, when I'm doing Reiki and doing a good healing on somebody, this is just an example. If I get red, if I get the color red while I'm scanning or doing whatever, to me, it signifies cancer. That's the one thing they've shown me. So, I don't know. To me, it all ties together. I do it so much now that when I'm doing a healing, it's the angels are right there with me. To me, there's no separation anymore between the Reiki and the angelic realm. It flows together.
Yeah. Well, I want to follow up on something you said about Reiki helped you to be more grounded. And that might be a little counterintuitive, like how does being grounded help you to connect to the angelic realm? But what I think that you might be alluding to is if your mind is too busy and cluttered because you're not grounded and centered, you
Right.
can't hear the messages. So
Right.
being
Or you choose to ignore them. We could do
okay,
that too.
or they just kind of come in and out of your mind and
Yeah,
exit.
it's just like for me, grounding first and then doing the connection. It just flows now. It's all connected. But it's almost like it's like turning the light switch on when you go into a room.
Hmm.
I just flip that switch and I'm connected. I'm grounded, I'm centered, I'm paying attention to what I'm being shown or guided to do.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Well, do you think that anybody can connect with angels?
Absolutely. They're waiting. You have to, the thing with working with the angelic realm is you have to want to connect.
Hmm.
And but they can't interfere because of free will. So you have to say, guide me, show me. I want you in my life. Um, I tell everybody just to do a simple little exercise of ask for an answer that you want, a yes or no question. Ask for it like on Monday and tell them you want a clear, definitive answer by Friday. Give them a time frame, you know? And I have people go, what?
Do
That's
angels know time?
I'm sorry, what?
Do angels know time, or is it just
Well,
all?
they know that the significant for us here on Earth, because there's really no time on the other side. But by putting the parameters in, because we're human, we have to have it's based on time, right? That's our parameter. Everything's based on time, right? So I need an answer, a clear answer. And that's the other thing I specify. I want it clear. I don't want this, oh, well, maybe. No, no, I don't have time for it. I want a clear answer by noon on Friday, right? And what's interesting, don't be asking any other questions. Just focus on that one question from Monday through Friday. And take note of the times that you hear the word yes versus the times you hear the word no. You'll pass billboards driving down the highway that you never even notice that now have the word no on them or they have the word yes on them. You'll be in a grocery store, you hear people talking, and you'll keep hearing the same word over yes, 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 or no, no, no.
Hmm.
That's their way of showing you that they heard what you said and they're giving you your answer.
Okay, so that
And it
would
works.
be all right. So you can just ask for a simple yes or no answer. What if
Uh-huh.
you, I mean, can you evolve beyond that to get
Oh,
something
absolutely. But
more?
what that does by keeping it simple, when you first start, you'll hear the answer in your head right off the bat. Okay. But you want validation, right? So as you're going through the week, when you hear a yes in your head or a no in your head, it's not your voice that's giving you the yes or the no. So you feel that energy that's giving that answer. And that allows you to feel that connection with your guide or your angel.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, by taking baby steps now, oh, okay, I heard a yes. Well, this definitely wasn't my voice. Okay, so that's my guide or my angel. So then you can start the conversation. What do I call you? And again, go through the process and listen for a name that comes up. You may hear a name in your head. I've had some pretty wacky names come up, but just go with it.
Well, how do you know you got an angel and not some, you know, Sarah spirit entity per thing?
Well, the energy feels different. When you first start off, if you're asking the angels to connect, your angel will connect with you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they get super excited. It's like party time, yay, she's ready, yay, And now if your guide's coming through you or someone, a guide can be somebody who you knew in another lifetime, someone you've known in this lifetime that's crossed over. But the energy, you can feel a shift in the energy. And
Mm-hmm.
that the angels are real, again, they get super excited. Now, again, your Aunt Martha may want to talk to you too, but that's that's a different, you can feel the difference in the energy. When it's a deceased loved one reaching out to you, the energy feels a little heavier, and more, what's the word I want to use? It's more telling you what you should do. Okay. An angel's going to say, oh, maybe you should, maybe you should look at it this way. And, maybe you should look at your different options, or they get their point across, but it's done with love and just done with love. And they can be stern, but they do it in a loving way. Where if it's someone that has crossed over and they're coming through, it's kind of a heavier, well, you need to do, I said, blah, blah, you know what I'm saying? Just a shift in the energy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So an angel's energy is going to feel higher, lighter, softer, where you're saying if you connect with a deceased loved one, the energy might feel more,
It
uh,
feels heavier.
feels heavier. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense. So that was, just kind of leads into the next question. How do you know if it's an angel or if it's your own thoughts?
Again, the easiest way, if it's your own thoughts, it's ego, right? And to me, ego stands for edging God out. So let's say that you're trying to make a decision whether or not you want to change jobs, right? And let's say that you really want to change jobs, but you're trying to be, I'm going to ask for guidance here. I'm going to, I really want to know what's for my highest good. If it's the angels, they will let you know in a soft, loving way of this is a new opportunity coming up for you. It's for your highest good. Um, Whatever it comes across, or you'll hear, yes, it's time to change jobs, you know. Um, if it's ego, well, of course you need to change jobs, blah, 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 blah. It's that kind of, again, the argument kind of thing, the energy of, well, yeah, you need to change jobs because of X, Y, and Z and blah, blah, blah. And it's got that negative connotation to it. Where
Mhm.
the angels, they get the messages across so clearly that you have no doubt that it's them and not you. Does
Mhm.
that make sense? You can feel it energetically.
Okay. All right. And do you ever see the angels? I mean, like, I assume you can see them, hear them. You even mentioned smell. I don't know if do
Well, I
angels
mean,
smell.
haven't you ever been sitting somewhere and you've been thinking about somebody and you'll smell like, for me, my ex-mother-in-law, I just loved her to pieces, but she always had uh rose candles and rose perfume and whatever. So whenever she comes around, I smell the roses. So
Mhm.
I know it's her, right? As far as the angels of seeing them, um, I don't. there's been a couple of times that I've seen them. One was when I was in surgery. Um, and another was after I had gone through a very traumatic event. And I saw them all around me, saw Mother Mary. So yes, but as far as on the day-to-day basis, no, I don't really actually see them. It's just I feel them more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And or I see the colors. For Archangel Michael, obviously his is the blue. And he and I have a very um unique relationship. Again, I'm not your typical angel reader. Most people are just really soft, soft spoken, and I'm just out there. I can't change who I am. I am who I am, right? And when I found out that Archangel was my main archangel, I was kind of ticked off. I was like, really? Everybody's got him. Why do I have to have him? And so in a conversation with them,
What?
I'm
So you're telling that to Archangel Michael,
right.
like, oh, you're ordinary.
He laughed. He goes, "Oh, now you want my help, but you didn't want to know that I was your archangel, huh?" And he kids back and forth with me. I mean, he's great. He's the perfect archangel for me because he keeps me in line, but he does it with such love and such humor. The angels have great senses of humor.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm blessed to have him.
Yeah. Well, does he ever poke you with a sword?
Um, Metaphorically, yes, he does. He's like, did I not say blah, blah, blah? I'm like,
Oh,
and then he'll just laugh.
that's funny. Well, Lucy was saying, I feel angels lightly touching me around my face when I call to them during Reiki or meditation.
Oh, yeah, they love it.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely love it.
how many of our people that are listening right now or watching have had contact with angels? Yeah. Well, what are some of the ways that you know the angels are around? Anybody want to share? Okay, go ahead, Marty. Oh, I don't
Yes.
think. Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay. Some time ago, I was relaxing in my bed with a cup of coffee, just in early morning. I was just with myself.
Mm.
And I felt at the edge of the foot of the bed, someone sit on the edge of the bed, the only one in the room. I look at the edge of the bed and I I sensed that there was someone with me. So I just asked, I said, okay, who would you please identify yourself? Because I didn't see anything, I didn't hear anything. I just felt the bed like someone was sitting on the edge of the bed. And I got, this is Archangel Michael. I went, oh, okay. What is it that you would like to tell me? Because I had a feeling there had to be a message. He's just not going to just show up. And right now, I cannot remember what the message was, but he did have a gem for me. So that is an experience I will never forget.
That's awesome.
Wow, that's cool. Okay, who else wanted to share? All right, Sunny. Oh, your sound isn't working.
I'll share.
All right, go ahead,
It's
Renee.
whenever I connect with the angels, um, I'm like Peggy. I see colors and I see brilliant blue for Michael, and I see emerald green. Oh, I can't think of the angel for healing. Um,
Raphael.
yes, I see brilliant green for him. And then I have Jophiel as an angel. Uh, I don't know if she's archangel or not, but I see yellow for her. Um, and Jofiel and I have a great connection because I love colors. I love decorating. I love art. And yellow is not one of my favorite colors, but I started designing and decorating a house, and I I started choosing colors with yellow and blue, and that was new for me. And then I went to she calls herself the Angel Lady, Gail Larmer, here in Kansas City, and she validated for me that Jofiel was one of my angels, and so was Michael, and so was Raphael. So the colors are the way that I connect.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay, was there somebody else that wanted to share? Sunny, you got your sound working? We're still not hearing you. Maybe you could put it in chat.
Well, the one thing too I want to say about the angels and the colors, when you're talking with someone about angels, the angels will come to you and present you with whatever color they feel resonates with you to get your attention. Because I've had Archangel Michael come to me with purple besides blue. And I was like, what, what's the deal here? Because people tell you, oh no, it's blue, definitely. It doesn't have to, it doesn't have to be that color. They'll let you know who they are. And it was really funny when I first started doing the angel readings, I procrastinated. I'm like, no, I'll stick with the Reiki. I'll stick with the Reiki. Yeah, I'm good with this, And they're like, no, you need to start, doing this. I'm like, well, I'll have to memorize all the angels and all the things. And they said, no, there's too many of us. If you need an angel's name or what they do, we'll let you know at that time. I'm like, dang, I had all these excuses not to get out there in public and do it, right? And so I built up my courage, and I learned with a deck of cards, choosing the angel cards and doing the readings that way. And on my very first show in here in Kansas City, I'm on the way to the show. I've got my angel decks laid out. I'm all excited. I'm pumped up singing the song from Bukeka, which Karen knows. And I'm just into it. And I hear Archangel Michael tell me, you can't use the cards. I'm like, what? You gotta be kidding. This is my first show out in public, and you're telling me I can't use the cards, and that's what I've trained on? And he said, no, because you know the answers. We'll give you the answers. You don't need the cards. And I just said, well, okay, fine. If that's what's going to happen, if I mess this up, I'm blaming it on you. And he's like,
I
okay.
would too.
And it went fine. The first guy that sat down, he was going to choose a deck of cards. I said, look, this is going to sound funny, but I was told today I can't use the cards. I said, what I'll do, you ask the questions, I'll give you the answers, and then I'll have you blindly pull some cards, and we'll see how that goes.
Mhm.
And sure enough, I gave the reading, heard the messages for him, and then I had him flip over the cards after the reading was done, and it was spot on with every single one of them.
Well, I bet that helped your confidence quite a bit.
It did, but it was still, that you just pay it. When you start asking the angels for answers, they'll give them to you. You just have to pay attention.
Yeah. Well, I'd kind of like to get to what kind of experiences that you've had with angels during healing sessions or during, Reiki treatments. I know I've got some of my own to share, but I want to hear from you first.
Well, I was working with someone who wanted a Reiki healing, and anybody I put on the bed, to give them a healing, I ask them in advance, if I get a message for you, do you want the answer? Do you want it? And they either say yes or no. And if they say no, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to get messages for them, you know. And I've had one where I was dealing with an individual who, again, I saw the red, I saw the cancer. And I was being told that I needed to let them know that they were procrastinating and not wanting to go to the doctor. And I could feel the Reiki going in there and surrounding it, and I, you know, working through the cancer that was there. I'm like, how do I tell this person, you know, without coming out and saying you've got cancer and you really need to go?
Yeah,
So
because we're
what
not
I said,
supposed to diagnose any Reiki treatment.
right, right. So I told them, I said, you know, I'm feeling some stuck energy, whatever. And I said, I can try to, you know, run it through here and stuff. And I said, have you, you know, have you been to a doctor lately? And they said, no, I'm just going to let it go. And I'm saying, well, you know, I don't think it would hurt for you to go, you know, and they had a sibling that had crossed over. And I said to them, you know, I gave the person's name. I said, this person's, you know, letting you know they're there for you. And I guess the sibling had passed of cancer.
Hmm.
And so by saying that person's name to the individual on the table, they went to the doctor and got checked.
Well, that was a good way to put it. You know, like I feel
Right,
a blockage here, and have you seen a medical professional? Are you aware
right,
of any issue going on in this part of your body? And
right,
if you're not, then I suggest you go to a doctor and get it checked out.
right.
So that's what we can say without saying, oh, I see you have cancer.
Right. No, yeah, I've never told anybody, yes, you've got cancer. I'll tell somebody, you know, here's this blockage, or, you know, I'm thinking, you know, have you got an appointment set up? Is that why you came in here? You just wanted to relax and stuff before you go to the doctor? I try to put it in such a manner that I'm encouraging them to go see a health professional, you know, that I'm not a doctor, that I'm just, you know, trying to help your energy, you know, calm down or whatever, you know, so yeah.
Yeah. In my office, I have a sun chime, and for many years, I had an interior office with no sun, obviously. And whenever anyone would say anything important, or when I would call the angels into the session in my opening prayers, the sun chime would start ringing. And it would ring during, you know, like profound moments during a session. And I have one at home too. And it's just so interesting, you know, how I just know now that the angels are letting me know that they are there, they're active, they're present, they're working, and it's really beautiful.
It is.
So let's see. Lucy was asking, have you ever seen feathers in your path? I saw them on the ground as I was walking into a medical center, and all was well. Following my tests, I placed the feathers in my car.
Absolutely. I worked in in a building that was a secure building, because what we did, we audited the red light cameras, you know, that gave people tickets, you know, for running the red lights or whatever. And so everything was locked, secure, whatever. And it was in Arizona. So in Arizona, you don't need a down coat, obviously. And I have been having a conversation with the angels, and I'm saying, you know, I need confirmation that this is, you know, of what I've decided to do, that this is the right thing for me. And I got up and had to go through two secure doors, and then down the hall, I had to go to the restroom. And I was walking down, a feather floats out of the air and lands on the ground. It's like a down feather, whatever. I'm like, okay, there's my confirmation. So again, ask and you will receive. They'll use whatever's around, and they'll make it happen.
Hmm.
So
Well, that
feathers, coins, um, butterflies, hummingbirds. Yeah.
mhm. Okay. Well, any other experiences you'd like to share about angels showing up like in a Reiki session?
Well, I had a Reiki session where I was um the girl said that she was trying to connect with her grandmother as well. So I have her on the table and I'm, doing the Reiki and tuning in, for her grandmother. And I look up and I see just as clearly as I'm seeing you, I see a young man in motorcycle leathers. He's got the jacket on, the pants on, he's holding his helmet. And I'm thinking, oh, this is kind of awkward. And so I'm telling the grandmother, this young man, she goes, no, you have to listen to what he has to say. So I tell the lady on the table, I said, as I'm giving this Reiki, I said, not only is your grandmother here, but this young man has stepped up and he wants he wants to tell you something. She goes, no, I don't want to talk to him. I just want to talk to my grandmother. And I said, well, I can appreciate that, but your grandmother's saying, no, you need to listen to what he's saying. And so he says that he wants to thank you. She goes, well, I don't know him. I tried to describe everything. She goes, I don't know anybody like that. And as he's talking, all of a sudden she gets as pale as anybody I've ever seen. And she goes, oh my God. I said, what? She said, last week on my way home from work, I ran across a man that it was a hit and run on a motorcycle. And she goes, I stayed with him till the ambulance got there. And it was his way of stepping up and saying, thank you for being there with me as I made my transition because he didn't make it.
Wow.
So again, when the messages need to be given to somebody, Reiki, I think helps. She needed the Reiki running through her to help soothe her and where she could feel a better connection with her grandmother. And then here's this young man that steps up and says, thank you so much for staying with me. It was the most profound thing that I've been through.
Wow. Well, that is really amazing. Thanks for sharing that.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm kind of wondering if you want to work with an angel, do you think it's important to call on like Raphael for healing or Gabriel for communication, or can the angels cross over and do different things?
Yes. They're like duct tape. They can do whatever. That's right. They have a great sense of humor. And I was worried, like I said, oh my gosh, I've got to memorize all these angels and who does healing and who does this and who does that. And I said, no, no, no. When you need help, all you have to do is call on the angels. You don't have to, we as human beings assign names to them because that's the only way we can do it because that's our thought process, right? We have to label things. You don't have to call on Raphael for healing. You can just say, all healing angels gather around. I need your help on whatever. Help this person to their highest good. You don't have to call them by name. They'll all step up. They're all purpose.
Well, that's good to know.
It's wonderful.
I know I was talking with Gabriel because a couple of years ago, I decided that I wanted a better connection. And for some reason, I was guided to connect with Archangel Gabriel, where it would have made more sense, I think, for me to work with Raphael since I do all the Reiki work. But, Gabriel was saying, well, we can all do multiple things. So
Right.
it doesn't matter.
Right.
Now, what about guardian angels? Have you had any experiences with them with Reiki?
Absolutely. Guardian angels are with us from the time we're born to the time that we leave. We have one guardian angel that is with you for your entire life cycle here. But a lot of your guardian angels are people that have crossed over and they took on the assignment to help guide you or to be there for you in times of need or stress or upset, upheaval. And also happy times as well. My grandmother, she was very psychic. And we grew up knowing that, but again, back in the day, you didn't talk about it. She was one of these people that she would wake up, if she dreamed of a tornado, somebody in the family within 48 hours was going to die. That was just it. It was just written in stone. So when she said, I dreamed of a tornado, we were all like, who is it? Who's it going to be? But She's guided me a lot, especially once I started with Reiki. I had never connected with her since her death until after I had Reiki. And then she was coming to me all the time. You know, one of the most profound ones, she came to me and I was flying with her up in the air, and we were looking down at a funeral, believe it or not. And she was telling me all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. And I had that kind of awakening of, oh crap, I'm up in the air holding on to my grandmother who's no longer here. This can't be good. And I woke up. I mean, I felt like I fell back into bed, you know. But what she was trying to prepare me for the passing of my grandfather, who I was super close to. But she watches over me. I've had multiple I almost died. In fact, they called me in the ambulance and said, you know, we're losing her. And out of body, and my grandmother was right there for me. And I'm like, yay, I'm out of the body, I'm ready, you know. She goes, it's really not your time. You know, we can, this can be a checkout point for you if that's what you want. But all those lessons you've learned to this point, you're going to have to relearn them. You're going to have to go back to it again. I'm like, oh, hell no. And as soon as I said that, boom, I was back in body.
Well,
So
that's
yeah,
interesting.
they're there for you all the time.
So, so deceased relatives being able to be your guardian angels, because I guess I always thought the guardian angels were, you know, like somebody that was assigned to you from the moment you were created and that person was watching over you. But it sounds like you're saying you can have multiple guardian angels.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, I know my mother came to me in a dream a few weeks ago and was asking me if a family member of mine who's about to get married has a prenuptial agreement. And I was thinking, well, why are you asking me? You know, if you're on the other side, you know that she doesn't. So what are you doing? You're putting me up to ask her? Like, why don't you just go talk to her yourself?
Leave me out of it.
And so then I just kind of brushed it off, forgot about it. Well, I was teaching a Reiki class a few days later. Again, she comes in. Does she have a prenuptial? Like, oh my God. You know, so I texted another family member to find out, okay, did she get it yet? He said, no, she's procrastinated. So I said, you want me to contact her, thinking she's going to be mad at me? I tried to relay it in as tactful a way as I could, you know, that, hey, grandma's looking after you and she just wants to know how you're doing on getting this thing worked out because, you know, grandma was a lawyer. So luckily she wasn't mad and said she was happy that grandma was looking after her.
Oh yeah. Most people want those messages. Now there's times that, you know, like if your grandmother didn't want that family member to marry that person, and they come through and say, no, she can't marry this person. You've got to, you know, this happened or whatever happened, then those can get kind of touchy. But again, not every time. I've had messages come through, but I'm told we're giving you this information for background information. So like with the healing, so you know what you're dealing with, but you cannot relay it. Like I deal with the cancer, you know, I can't come out and say you've got cancer, you know, but I can guide them to find out for themselves where they can get the help that they need.
Mhm.
You know, but there's times that um I'm real susceptible to people who have been abused, physically abused. I've had a lot of abuse in my life. So I tend to draw people who've gone through things like that to my sessions, right? And I get messages for them on how best to get them to think about the choices that they're making, where they can make better choices for themselves, or to
Mhm.
let them know I'm a safe place for them,
Mhm.
you know? So I don't know. Reiki's just, to me, it's my foundation of my angel work.
Mhm.
Yeah. I
Well,
can't do one without the other. I can't separate them anymore.
well, I think that's a good thing. So some other, you know, like signs and sensations that angels are present, you know, you talked, Lucy mentioned a feather, I mentioned the sun chime, you mentioned feeling them. somebody else
I get
mentioned
what I
seeing
call,
colors.
people call them goosebumps. I call them God bumps.
Okay.
When I'm when I'm in the pure divine energy, I mean, the hair on my arm stands straight up.
Hmm.
I mean, it's just like, whew, okay. Yeah.
Hmm. Well, I guess that would be a clear sign.
Yes. And I think I think there's no, to me, there's no one set way. They're going to use whatever they know is going to get your attention.
Hmm.
For me, it's the God bumps. Okay. Okay. All righty. I know I'm on the right path. I just got this sign, For you, maybe it'll be a tingling on your neck or um, a twitch, an eye twitch. I have one client, whenever her angel's around her, her eye twitches. So it's whatever, they'll use whatever they can to get your attention
Hmm.
because they want to help you get the answers. And I think a lot of people go, well, how come the angels didn't intervene and help me through this situation, whatever? And my first response is, did you ask them for your help? Because if you don't ask them, they can't help, they can't intervene. You have to ask for their help.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right. Evelyn says that she hears words on the radio after she asks a question.
Yeah, because you listen to the radio.
Mhm.
They'll do it with a song or that you hear words that you're like, wow. If I'm thinking of my son's dad who's crossed over, all of a sudden, I don't care what station I'm on, Hotel California comes up. That's his way of saying hello. I'm right here.
Well, that's wild,
Yeah,
especially if you're listening to, new jazz or something.
I know it. I don't know how, I don't question anymore. I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
I get the message. That's fine, but I want to listen to this song. I get you're here, but get me back to my station.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, I'm wondering if anybody here listening has had an experience of angels appearing in a Reiki session, if you'd like to share about that.
Yes, I have. This is Renee.
Hmm.
Um, I was having, I was having Reiki done to me, and the Reiki person was standing at my head doing Reiki, and I started to feel someone holding my feet, and there was no one else there, but I could feel someone holding my feet, and that lasted until um, my Reiki practitioner moved around to the side of my body, and then I couldn't feel it then. But when she was standing at my head, I could feel someone holding my feet.
I think that's a pretty common experience. I've heard a number of my students report that.
Yeah. Also, another time when I was having Reiki done, my husband has passed over, and I felt him. This wasn't, I didn't feel him touch me, but I felt him come into the room through the window. And there was a chair in the living room where he always sat. And he sat down in the chair, and I asked him, and it wasn't out loud, but I knew he was there. And so I asked him um, if he was there to help with the healing. And he said, I'm not going to talk to you right now. I want you to just let the healing happen. And it was was the most peaceful feeling I've ever had while he was there. And when he was ready to go, he just left through the window again. That happened Yeah, it was really wonderful.
Well, thanks for sharing that. Okay, anyone else an experience with angels, guardian angels?
Well, Karen, on there, your full-size biomat, if that's on a Reiki table and you're giving Reiki, the angels will definitely come in
If they're
with
on
that biomat.
biomat,
Mhm.
the biomat has 33 pounds of amethyst crystals. So
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing.
yeah. And Sunny, I'm sorry I had to mute you because we got such bad feedback that it's not going to work. But you're welcome to put whatever you want to say into the chat. So, okay, so Peggy, you're saying that angels really like amethyst crystals?
Yes, and well, I have a crystal, I call it a crystal bed because it's 7 main crystals that hang down above you, and then I have the biomat, the full-size biomat,
Mhm.
and I've had some profound healings using both those, and then I set somebody on it, and then I go into the other room and I send remote I send remote Reiki.
Mhm.
Well, they've got all those crystals below them and the 7 major crystals above them.
Mhm.
And Mother Mary comes in a lot with the healings for that. Raphael, a bunch of them come in, so yeah, it's pretty powerful.
Wow. Well, that's amazing. Combine Reiki and crystals and angels.
Yeah.
And then you could just add in some Karuna chanting,
There we
some
go.
sound. Yeah, that could create quite a detox experience, I guess. Let's see. Lucy asked, do you ever feel like you levitate? You mean like when angels are around, you just start raising off the ground? Is that what you're asking, Lucy?
Well, there's times that again, that's why I start with the Reiki grounding as to where, because I do have a tendency to want to leave my body. And so I have to really ground myself before I do a session, because otherwise I've fallen because I'm just so I'm I'm not in my body the way I need to be. So I've learned over the years, bring the Reiki in first, ground yourself, then do the angel reading. So yes.
Mhm. That's good. All right. And Margaret Mary says that Metatron often shows up. And Margaret Mary, how do you know that Metatron is there?
Um, I worked at a healing arts center for quite some time, and a number of the therapists used angel cards, and Metatron was a card that just kept getting repeatedly pulled. And when I got very still and quiet and tuned into it, I really got present to it. And I do use a biomat when I'm working on people, and whatever, like I identify it as Metatron. It's a frequency. I feel it. I'm just present to it. And I don't necessarily call on Metatron. I just feel it when he shows up.
Mhm.
Right.
So, and I had no idea who Metatron was before these different therapists kept pulling this one card. So,
Hmm.
Again, they'll use whatever's around you to get you the message they want you to have. And Metatron wanted you to know who it was. So yeah.
yeah, that was very profound. I mean, by the third time I was like, okay, I gotta
I
find
get
out.
it.
Yeah, I'll go do the research and I'll listen.
Good
Yeah.
for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I worked with Metatron when I was needing some protection, and I asked him to be my bouncer angel.
There you
So
go.
I got to have a relationship with him. It's like I never really thought of an angel as being my personal, security detail. But yeah, Metatron helped me quite a bit through a tough time. So, well, Peggy, we're coming to the end of our time. I so appreciate you sharing your knowledge and wisdom. And if you want to connect with Peggy, her website is Oh My Angels. Her radio show is turning into a podcast soon. And I think you said that you would still find those podcasts at what is it, 12radio.com?
Right. Right now, I'll still be doing the radio show until probably the first part of May. But so that's just 12radio.com, and you can look for, if you don't get me live, you can go to what they call on demand. And you can pull it up there. Or if you go to my website, which again is Oh My Angels, but it's OH My Angels. I have all my podcast or all my radio shows that I've had put up. So you can just click on the link there. It's probably easier to get from there. So,
And you
yeah.
also do private angel readings, so they can
Yes.
connect with you through your website at ohmyangels.com.
Right.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
Peggy, thank you so much for being here and sharing the love of the angels. I really appreciate you. And this is Karen Harrison at www.karenharrison.net. And thank you for joining us for the Reiki Call podcast. And I look forward to hearing and seeing from you all next month. And if you have
Can I
any,
say one thing real quick?
sure,
I,
I was going to say,
I want everyone, if you don't have, if you haven't taken it or even halfway interested in it, you need to take the animal Reiki class. It's amazing. So that's all I wanted.
oh yes, we were going to talk about that, and I forgot to ask about that
That's
question.
okay.
Yes, because the animal Reiki, you said, helped you to connect more strongly with animals who you feel like are angels on earth.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes. Well, thank you for remembering that question. It was on my other sheet.
That's okay.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you all so much, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.